wasn't that long ago that our next guest was known as a World Series winning manager. He's got a new title. He's Shohei Ohtani's manager. He's Joe Maddon, who joins us on the show. How's that feel? Is that an official title, Joe?
I'll take it. It's been a lot of fun. He's you saw him during the All-Star weekend or week, 2 days. He's all of that. He's just a wonderful young man. He's very humble. He came across perfectly, and probably the best talent possibly that's ever played the game.
Who would you compare him to?
I've been asked that, and everybody goes all over the map. And obviously the Babe Ruth comparisons, we never knew what the Babe actually looked or played like. We just see those little legs running around the bases a lot. But I would say it's more like a Bo Jackson for me. Just to be able to dominate. Bo dominated once both sports, but Shohei dominating both sides of the ball in our game is so different. And it's going to happen again. I don't know to this level, but some kid's going to come along to try to do and probably accomplish it. Even Lorenzen from Cincinnati, that kid's pretty good too. I don't know if you've ever seen him. He's out of Cal State Fullerton. He's pretty good hitter also. But anyway, it's going to be a while. But I'd say Bo regarding the dominance, like on both sides of the ball, and what a great athlete that he actually is.
When we were growing up, chances are your best player, your best hitter, was the pitcher.
Right.
But at what point did we go, okay, you can't do both. You can't be a pitcher and a hitter?
I think, of course, you did it in Little League. I did it in Teeners League ball myself. I did it in American Legion ball. When you get to college, I actually started out as a pitcher, and I stopped pitching because I couldn't hit anymore. So I became a catcher. But I think by the time you get to college, they make you make that choice. I think up to that point, a lot of guys are able to do both. You don't play as long as the season. The competition is different. The stresses on what you do in your body is different. Training, all these different, the specialization that's necessary to dominate as a pitcher or as a hitter is different. So I think you could get away with it probably through college at some point. But by the time you get to professional ball, it really, really causes you to focus on one or the other, except if you have this kind of talent like Shohei does.
What did you discuss with him about competing in the home run derby? That guys will talk about you kind of screw up your swing and just the amount of energy that it takes to be in that?
Yeah, I did. And here's the thing. We put all these parameters on everybody anymore. Everybody tries to put it in somebody's head what you can and cannot do. And I don't do that. I don't believe in that. I don't even know who came up with that in the first place. It's an easy narrative. It's easy to defend in a sense. And it's possible. I'm not saying it's not possible, and I'm not going to deny the fact that I wanted him to win, but I wasn't upset that he didn't win. It was out after the first round. But all this stuff, I think these people in charge these days, we attempt to get in the way of greatness of a lot of athletes by putting restrictor plates on all of them. I don't like to do that. This guy is a great athlete. He signed up to do this. He signed up to do both. So why would we restrict him from doing both? And on top of that, he wants to. I mean, there's times you have to push players to do certain things or ask them to do certain things. Shohei's wanted to do this from the beginning. So never get in the way of a player's greatness and stop talking about getting hurt all the time. We put this in people's heads, and all of a sudden it becomes a self-fulfilled prophecy.
I just wonder about being too cautious with today's athlete because, Joe, we grew up when, guys completed games. Bob Gibson, Sandy Koufax, Juan Marichal, go down the list. That was the badge of courage. I want to complete a game. I look back on Jabba Chamberlain. I think the Yankees over-pampered him, and I don't think he could ever get out of a tough situation because whenever he got into one, they'd take him out. So how do you have that let you walk and fall on your own?
All the above, you're right. A part of it has to do with money and agents and all these different, you want to try to extend your shelf life to make more money over a period of time. I think that's part of the narrative. But then again, if that were the case, why is everybody still getting hurt? All these new different training methods and diet, which, listen, I'm all into all of that stuff, but we could go overboard with everything. Diminishing return sits in with almost everything we do in our life at a certain point. And you go overboard, you become an extremist in all these different areas. And I'm not into it. I do love balance. I think balance is necessary. You should have a McDonald's Big Mac at some point. And of course, you're going to eat properly for the next week or 10 days. Balance this whole thing out. Don't be an extremist. And I think that's what we've become with everything that we're doing. We're extreme. And I think there is a middle road. I believe in the gray area of everything. And when you experience both sides, I think you turn out to be a better human being. Actually, I'm into liberal arts. I'm into the liberal arts method of teaching baseball. And I think we become polarized with all of this. And I don't think it's healthy. So I agree with you. I think if given the opportunity, a lot of these players, if you're talking about pitchers, would be able to pitch more deeply in the games. And it needs to start in the minor leagues. And just to cut it off here, but when I was managing in '82 in Salem, Oregon, Kirk McCaskill was one of my pitchers. And he pitched a 9-inning complete game, shutout, giving up 2 hits, no walks, 12 strikeouts against the Medford A's. Wow, that would never even occur today. A minor league manager would lose his job if he even attempted to permit a pitcher to do something like that.
He's Joe Maddon, the Angels manager, 3-time baseball manager of the year, 2-time World Series champ. Given Stephen A. Smith's comments on Shohei Ohtani and the language barrier, how much pressure does Shohei feel to be able to speak English comfortably?
I don't think he feels pressure. I think he's learning. It's like if you're in a situation, I speak some Spanish, right? And on occasion, the Spanish reporters will ask me to do something in Spanish. It's a very unnerving situation. And you try and you concentrate and you focus. You don't want to make a fool out of yourself. It becomes embarrassing. So but if you're fluent in that language, obviously it's much easier to do. My point is, as Shohei learns more, which he is, and believe me, he communicates with us. He says a lot of different things in English, but if you put a microphone in front of somebody, until you become pretty comfortable with that, you don't even want to go there because you don't want to screw up. You don't want to be interpreted in the wrong way. That's all that is. Because Shohei does a great job with this. Ipe's interpreter, who we also love, is outstanding. So give him time. It's like anything else. Give him time. Where he's in a different culture, in a different environment. You go to Japan and learn the language that quickly and speak it fluently during an interview. Not an easy thing to do. I can't even imagine that. So give him time. He's a very bright young man. He's engaging. He wants to learn, and he will. I promise you he will. But it's a process, man, like everything else.
What was that meeting, phone call like when you had to tell Albert Pujols that you were letting him go?
I didn't. I wasn't a part of that, actually. I spoke with Albert that night before that game. He was upset that he wasn't in that lineup, and I couldn't tell him everything that was going on that I knew was going on later on that night. That was John Carpino and Perry Manassian, our GM. They're the guys that spoke to him about it. And so since then, I really haven't spoken to Albert. I know he was upset leaving, and I understand that completely, and I don't blame him. However, it's worked out wonderfully for him and wonderfully for us. It was the right thing to do for everybody involved. And sometimes it takes a little time for people to realize or understand that. Wish him. I thought it was great too that he was able to stay in Los Angeles, didn't have to pick up and leave. Family was not uprooted. All those kind of things that you would that makes it difficult. So it's a win-win, absolutely, for everybody involved. And we're going to see him again. He's going to play well against us. I absolutely believe that, and I think it's great. I think it's great for baseball. So win-win.
The rule changes. The commissioner said we're going to take away the 7-inning doubleheaders and not going to put a runner on second base next season. What do you think of those decisions?
Well, first of all, the runner at second base has been a thorn the whole time. I'm not to expedite our game just for the sake of expedition. I don't understand that. I don't get it. And this is one of those things. Our game is based or heaped in tradition. Why do you want to subtract? Everybody wants to take tradition out of everything anymore. Either you just don't want to microwave. Everybody wants to microwave everything. Let the game be played. Yeah, there's going to be some really uncomfortable nights that stink when you have to stay there 17 innings and lose possibly. Horrible method, horrible moment. But that's how this thing is done. So let's do that again. And that's part of what's happening. Front offices are really freaked out about this stuff because then you have to use pitchers more than you would like to, or you have to shuttle guys between AAA back to the big leagues to boast of yourself for the next day. Those are the problems. That's what the real issue is here. It's not about the game itself. And as a kid, I loved extra innings. If the game was beginning to be played a little bit more or longer, I would love that. I understand there's school and I understand there's work. I get all that stuff, but that's what the game is. So I'd love to see that go away. The 7-inning doubleheader is interesting. I'm good with going back to 9, but I really would hope that they don't go day-night. That's the part that really is the kicker. I understand the gate. I understand it's probably not going to go away, But if you want to make it palatable to all of us, play 2 9-inning games, but have them concurrent. Game over, half hour later, game 2. That would be the better
That's
way.
The way it used to be when we were
right. Yeah,
growing up.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, that's better for everybody.
When it comes to what the game is now and the strategy now, can you see somebody being counterintuitive? Like Whitey Herzog's St. Louis Cardinal team. Could you build a team on speed, defense, putting the ball in play, and still and having a good pitching staff? Is somebody going to come along and go, we can't compete with big markets and getting sluggers, we're going to do this?
I think sluggers are going to be part of it. I still do. I don't think that's going to go away. What Whitey did there, I'm a big Whitey guy. Whitey worked for the Angels for a bit, and that's where I got to know him. I thought he was brilliant. I've always said I'd like to have it all. Why can't you have a couple sluggers? George Hendrick was on that team, my buddy, because he was on those particular teams. Jackie Clark stepped in there. They had some pop, but they're able to really listen. When you're preparing a game in the other dugout, that other team could fly and they're going to put pressure on you on defense all the time. That's an unsettling feeling. That's worse to me in the dugout than a team that has 2 or 3 guys that may take you deep. I think you could mitigate that a lot more easily than the team that's constantly putting pressure on you. That bothers everybody on the field. I love that style, and I would like for the Angels to be that style. My theme for this year, play it like it's 1985. I got this cool little shirt made up about it. The point would be to play the game more completely, as opposed to, again, walk, strikeout, homer, etc. So I think it could all be done. I really do. And I think it comes down to drafting. We just went through the draft. I know we took pitchers, which is absolutely necessary. But I even talked with Theo. I've seen a couple years ago, and they went to 40 rounds. And I asked them, why wouldn't you take the rounds 30 to 40, just speed guys, just guys that could absolutely fly, and see if you could build them from there. And even if you hit on one a year, my goodness, after 4 years, you've got 4 guys that can fly. And it's kind of tantamount to what the Kansas City Royals Baseball Academy used to be like in the 70s, which I still think was a brilliant idea. Yeah. And that would be something cool to come on back to. But you have to draft and build and nurture this kind of pattern if that's what you want to see. And I'd love to see that.
But what that pressure was like when Ricky Henderson would get on first base, Willie McGee. I mean, it changed the atmosphere of a game. It felt like, and I know you can have a bomb and somebody can hit it 450 feet. There was something unnerving about somebody on first base. That was that slow water torture, and it gets into the pitcher and then the catcher and then the manager. Everybody, I don't know. I miss that element there, and I don't know if that comes back. That the stolen base.
No, you're right, 100%. And I'll tell you where it went away. It went away because of analytics. That's why it went away. And that's another part of the game we could talk about for another hour, where I am an advocate, but I'm telling you, analytics has really kind of squashed the stolen base. Because, and I'll just be quite frank with you, when a guy would get thrown out on the bases on a steal attempt, I promise you, post-game, somebody from the front office would come down and talk to the manager about what happened there. We don't want to make outs on the bases. And then the manager has to go talk to the coach, who then has to go talk to the player. I mean, and so by the time that all gets done, these guys lose their aggressiveness, their assertiveness, and you have to be all of that in order to be a great base stealer. So there's a lot of stuff that's gone away based on a trickle down from analytics from the front office down to the field.
Give me your favorite minor league managing lifestyle story.
Wow. I'll tell you what I loved. I love the road. I love to ride on a bus, weirdly, and I drive one now. Jay, my wife's right here with me right now. We have a 45-foot Winnebago Grand Tour RV. I love the road.
You're in the Winnebago now?
No, that's parked somewhere here. We're actually in a hotel room.
Oh, okay.
We're in here. I got my kids and my grandkids are here. But as a manager, you sit in the first seat, right? First seat up in the front of the bus, right on the right side. And as you asked that question, I could see myself in the Texas League. Now, the Texas League, I was in Midland, Texas. In your division, you'd have to go to El Paso, like 6.5, 7 hours, or Beaumont, 11 hours, or San Antonio, I think was 8, or sometimes Jackson, Mississippi, or Little Rock, Arkansas. That's 10 plus. But I'd sit in that front seat, and at that time, you had the little cassette player with the fuzzy headphones you put on your head, and you bring a pillow and a blanket, you'd wrap yourself up, and I'd bring a book. I was a voracious reader, and I loved it. You turn the AC way down and you freeze in that front seat and you have to sleep and you wake up and you go to some kind of truck stop in the middle of the night, grab some food and get back on. And I promise you, I'll leave. I left Yankee Stadium a couple of weeks ago. We won a pretty tough game, like 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, walking out to the bus. And I look up and I said, thank you. I'm still have that opportunity to relive those moments that I had as a young manager coming up, which if you want to romanticize, which I tend to do, that's it. And that's the part about the minor leagues that I really did enjoy. Weirdly, I was in some leagues that had tremendously long bus rides.
But you didn't have a Bull Durham moment, did you?
I did before. Yeah, when I was in Boulder, Colorado, we did that before he did that.
What'd you do?
Me, Stan Jakubowski, and Rod Boxberger, who's the dad of Brad Boxberger, were in charge of the Colorado University baseball field where the Boulder Collegians played. And Baldy Muschietti was the owner of that team. And Baldy was the guy that got me my break. Anyway, we were in charge of the field. So I said, Stanley, he's not giving me any days off. I don't want to play. I'm the catcher. And we're playing I'm catching back-to-back doubleheaders. So I had enough. I said, we're going to flood the field. We did. We went out that day, and the night before, you put those things on the sprinklers. We have to crank it a little bit, and then pum, pum, pum. And we left it on all night. And we get there the next day, and Baldy shows up. Hey, what's happened here? Damn, Baldy, I don't know. The sprinklers got stuck. Well, we got a game tonight. He said, I don't think we can get that. Baldy brings in a helicopter, to get all the water off the field. And then me and Stashu and Boxy had to go out there, rake the infield, go buy some gasoline, burn it. So the infield's ready by the end of that, I have to catch that night anyway. So we went through the whole process. And I think that was 1975. So that was pre-Bull Durham, man.
Susan Sarandon wasn't waiting for you, was she?
No, she was not. To Shaw, as they said.
Joe, great to catch up with you. Thanks for joining us. Good luck the second half of the season.
Always a pleasure to be with you, man. Thank you.
Bud. That's Joe Maddon, Angels manager, Shohei Ohtani's manager, but also a 3-time baseball manager of the year and 2-time World Series champ.